Okay, can you see the screen? Folk tales from around the world. So where are we going? The last time we went to Brazil and we told a wonderful story of how the sea came, okay, or how night came from the sea. So the origin of today's folktale is indeed Europe. So we are in Europe. So I don't know whether you know, but all fairy tales and all folk tales are placed in a classification system. And this is called the Arne Thompson Uther Folklore Classification System to organize the entire folkloric tradition and category. So this is what they call a type 1651 folk tale. And it can contain a cat as a helper. It's not always a cat, okay? Sometimes it's an angel or a different animal. So based on that information, where are we going? I need to get my chat back up. Right, there we go. Just gonna pop that over. Alrighty then. So within Europe, which country do you think we're visiting? Well, we are visiting England. It's the first time that I've featured an English folk tale during the whole time I've been doing this. So, all right, the first versions of this that have been recorded was actually before this. There are parallels that were found in the 10th century and also in 14th century Persia. There was a ballad. The first written version is a ballad written in 1605. So what I'm going to do with the ballad is I'm going to copy or post a copy of that in the Facebook group, Literary Adventures with Sarah, so that you can enjoy that afterwards. And the earliest chapbook was the famous and remarkable history of Sir Richard Whittington. So this first edition was found in 1656. And it would have, it would have started in oral tradition, as most tales do, as most folklore tales do. And then as it moves through and gets picked up by different people, folk tales are a bit like Chinese whispers. They change and things are added to them and things are taken away. So by the time it gets to like a final modern day version, it's completely unrecognizable from how it began. But there was also a puppet play, and there was an early record of a puppet performance dating. It was an entry in Samuel Pepys's diary of the 21st September 1668, which reads, "To Southwark Fair, very dirty, and there saw the puppet show of Whittington, which was pretty to see." In 1711, an opera was proposed to run in London. It never came to fruition. They were worried because they wanted to bring in a huge quantity of rats and mice, and they were concerned about them, getting all over the theatre and being unable to catch them. But an opera in Dublin was released in 1739. And to date, the first pantomime was recorded in 1814, and it remains It remains the most popular English pantomime to date. You know, Whittington, Dick Whittington, you know, the part, it's usually always a pretty young girl that plays the part of Dick Whittington. But yeah, it's still going strong, and it's many different versions. So this actual tale is a tale by a man called Joseph Jacobs, and he was an Australian folklorist. He's titled it was Whittington and His Cat. The publisher was David Nutt in London in 1890. So as we can see, this is quite a modern version, you know, because the first written record of that ballad was 1650, country of origin, England, classification ATU 1651, Whittington's Cat. Now, does anybody have any questions before we begin our story? No, we're good to go. So I hope you've got a nice cup of tea or coffee or wine or whatever you're drinking on this Sunday afternoon, morning or evening. Sit back, relax and enjoy the tale. So Whittington and His Cat. Someone told me the other day that in the reign of the famous King Edward III, there was a little boy called Dick Whittington, whose father and mother died when he was very young. As poor Dick was not old enough to work, he was very badly off. He got but little for his dinner and sometimes nothing at all for his breakfast, for the people who lived in the village were very poor indeed and could not spare him much more than the parings of potatoes and then a hard crust of bread. Now, Dick heard a great many very strange things about the great city called London. For the country people at that time thought that folks in London were all fine gentlemen and ladies, and that there was singing and music there all day long, and that the streets were all paved with gold. One day, a large wagon and 8 horses, all with bells at their heads, drove through the village. While Dick was standing by the signpost, he thought that the wagon must be going to the fine town of London. So he took courage and asked the wagoner to let him walk with him by the side of the wagon. As soon as the wagoner heard that poor Dick had no father or mother and saw by his ragged clothes that he could not be worse off than he was, he told him he might go if he would. So they set off together. So Dick got safe to London and was in such a hurry to see the fine streets paved all over with gold, he did not even stay to thank the kind wagoner, but ran off as fast as his legs would carry him through many of the streets, thinking every moment to come to those that were paved with gold. For Dick had seen a guinea 3 times in his own little village and remembered what a deal of money it brought in change. So he thought he had nothing to do but to take up some little bits from the pavement and should then have as much money as he could wish for. Poor Dick ran till he was tired and had quite forgot his friend the wagoner. But at last, finding it grow dark, and that every way he turned, he saw nothing but dirt instead of gold, he sat down in a corner and cried himself to sleep. Little Dick was all night in the streets, and next morning, being very hungry, he got up and walked about and asked everybody he met to give him a halfpenny to keep him from starving. But nobody stayed to answer him, and only 2 or 3 gave him a halfpenny. So that poor boy was soon quite weak and faint for the want of victuals. In this distress, he asked charity of several people, and one of them said crossly, "Go to work for an idle rogue." "That I will," says Dick. "I will go to work for you, if you will let me." But the man only cursed at him, and he went on. At last, a good-natured looking gentleman saw how hungry he looked. "Why don't you go to work, my lad?" said he to Dick. "That I would, but I do not know how to get any," answered Dick. "If you are willing, come along with me," said the gentleman, and took him to a hayfield, where Dick worked briskly and lived merrily till the hay was made. After this, he found himself as badly off as before, and being almost starved again, he laid himself down at the door of Mr. Fitzwarren, a rich merchant. Here he was soon seen by the cookmaid, who was an ill-tempered creature, and had happened just then to be very busy dressing dinner for her master and mistress. So she called out to poor Dick, "What business have you there, you lazy rogue? There is nothing else but beggars. If you do not take yourself right away, we will see how you would like a sousing of some dishwater. I have some here hot enough to make you jump." Just at that time, Mr. Fitzwarren himself came home to dinner. And then he saw a dirty, ragged boy lying at the door. He said to him, "Why do you lie there, my boy? You seem old enough to work." "I'm afraid you are inclined to be lazy." "No, indeed, sir," said Dick to him. "That is not the case, for I would work with all my heart, but I do not know anybody, and I believe I am very sick for the want of food." Pardon me. "Poor fellow, get up. Let me see what ails you." Dick now tried to rise, but was obliged to lie down again, being too weak to stand, for he had not eaten any food for 3 days and was no longer able to run about and beg a halfpenny of people in the street. So the kind merchant ordered him to be taken into the house and have a good dinner given to him, and be kept to do what work he was able to do for the cook. Little Dick would have lived very happy in this good family if it had not been for the ill-natured cook. She used to say, "You are under me, so look sharp, clean the spits and the dripping pan, make the fires, wind up the jack, and do all the scullery work nimbly, or..." and she would shake the ladle at him. Besides, she was so fond of basting that when she had no meat to baste, she would baste poor Dick's head and shoulders with a broom, or anything else that happened to fall in her way. At last, ill usage of him was told to Alice, Mr. Fitzwarren's daughter, who told the cook she should be turned away. If she did not treat him kinder, behaviour of the cook was now a little better. But besides this, Dick had another hardship to get over. His bed stood in a garret where there were so many holes in the floor and the walls that every night was tormented with rats and mice. A gentleman having given Dick a penny for cleaning his shoes, he thought he would buy a cat with it. The next day he saw a girl with a cat and asked her, "Will you let me have that cat for a penny?" The girl said, "Yes, that I will, master, though she is an excellent mouser." Dick had his cat in the garret and always took care to carry a part of his dinner to her. And in a short time, he had made no trouble with the rats and mice, but slept quite sound every night. Soon after this, his master had a ship ready to sail, and as it was the custom that all his servants should have some chance for good fortune, as well as himself, and he called them all into the parlour and asked them what they would send out. When poor Dick heard this, I have nothing but a cat, which I bought for a penny some time since from a little girl. Fetch your cat then, my lad, said Mr. Fitzwarren, and let her go. They all had something that they were willing to venture, except poor Dick, who had neither money nor goods, and therefore could send nothing. For this reason, he did not come into the parlour with the rest. But Miss Alice guessed what was the matter and ordered him to be called in. She then said, I will lay down some money for him from my own purse. But her father told her this will not do, for it must be something of his own. All this, he said, I have nothing but a cat, which I bought a penny for some time since of a little girl. Fetch your cat then, my lad, said Mr. Fitzwarren, and let her go. Dick went upstairs and brought down poor Puss with tears in his eyes and gave her to the captain. For, he said, I shall now be kept awake all night by the rats and mice. All the company laughed at Dick's odd venture, and Miss Alice, who felt pity for him, gave him some money to buy another cat. This and many other marks of kindness shown him by Miss Alice made the ill-tempered cook jealous of poor Dick, and she began to use him more cruelly than ever, and she always made fun of him for sending his cat to sea. She asked him, do you think your cat will sell for as much money as would buy a stick to beat you? At last, poor Dick could not bear this usage any longer, and he thought he would run away from his place. So he packed up his few things and started very early in the morning. On All Hallows Day, the 1st of November, he walked as far as Holloway, and there sat down on a stone, which to this day is called Whittington's Stone, and began to think to himself which road he should take. While he was thinking what he should do, the bells of Bow Church, which at that time were only 6, began to ring, and their sound seemed to say to him, turn again, Whittington, thrice Lord Mayor of London. Lord Mayor of London, he said to himself. Why, to be sure, I would put up with almost anything now to be Lord Mayor of London and ride in a fine coach when I grow to be a man. Well, I will go back and think nothing of the cuffing and scolding of the old cook, if I am to be Lord Mayor of London at last. Dick went back and was lucky enough to get into the house and set about his work before the old cook came downstairs. We must now follow Miss Puss to the coast of Africa. The ship with the cat on board was a long time at sea and was at last driven by the winds on a part of the coast of Barbary, where the only people were the Moors, unknown to the English. The people came in great numbers to see the sailors because they were of different colour to themselves and treated them civilly. And then they became better acquainted. They were very eager to buy the fine things that the ship was loaded with. When the captain saw this, he sent patterns of the best things he had to the king of the country. He was so much pleased with them that he sent for the captain to the palace. Here they were placed, as it is the custom of the country, on rich carpets, flowered with gold and silver. The king and queen were seated at the upper end of the room, and a number of dishes were brought in for dinner. They had not sat long when a vast number of rats and mice rushed in and devoured all the meat in an instant. The captain wondered at this, and afraid if these vermin were not unpleasant. Oh, yes, said they, very offensive, and the king would give half his treasure to be freed of them. For they not only destroy his dinner, you see, but they assault him in his chamber and even in bed, so that he is obliged to be watched while he is sleeping for fear of them. The captain jumped for joy. He remembered poor Whittington and his cat. He told the king he had a creature on board the ship that would dispatch all these vermin immediately. The king jumped so high at the joy which the news gave him that his turban dropped off his head. Bring this creature to me, said he. Vermin are dreadful in a court, and if she will perform what you say, I will load your ship with gold and jewels in exchange for her. The captain, who knew his business, took this opportunity to set forth the merits of Miss Puss. He told his majesty, it's not very convenient to part with her, as when she is gone, the rats and mice may destroy the goods in the ship. But to oblige your majesty, I will fetch her. Run, run, said the queen. I am impatient to see the dear creature. Away went the captain to the ship. While another dinner was got ready, he put Puss under his arm and arrived at the place just in time to see the table full of rats. Oh, when the cat saw them, she did not wait for bidding, but jumped out of the captain's arms, and in a few minutes laid almost all the rats and mice dead at her feet. The rest of them, in their fright, scampered away to their holes. The king was quite charmed to get rid so easily of such plagues, and the queen desired that the creature who had done them so great kindness might be brought to her, so she might look at her, upon which the captain called, Pussy, 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 and she came to him. He then presented her to the queen, who started aback, and she was afraid to touch the creature who had made such a havoc among the rats. However, when the captain stroked the cat and called Pussy, pussy, the queen also touched her and cried, Putty, putty, for she had not learned English. He then put her down on the queen's lap, where she purred and played with her majesty's hand, and then purred herself to sleep. The king, having seen the exploits of Miss Puss, and being informed that her kittens would stock the whole country and keep it free from rats, bargained with the captain for the whole ship's cargo, and then gave him 10 times as much for the cat as all the rest amounted to. The captain then took leave of the royal party and set sail with a fair wind for England, and after a happy voyage, arrived safe in London. One morning early, Mr. Fitzwarren had just come to his counting house and seated himself at the desk to count over the cash and settle the business for a day, when somebody came, tap, tap, at the door. Who's there? Said Mr. Fitzwarren. A friend, answered the other. I come to bring you good news of your ship Unicorn. The merchant, bustling up in such a hurry that he forgot his gout, opened the door, and who should he see waiting but the captain and factor with a cabinet of jewels and a bill of lading. When he looked at this, the merchant lifted up his eyes and thanked heaven for sending him such a prosperous voyage. Then he told the story of the cat and showed the rich man the rich present that the king and queen had sent for her to poor Dick. As soon as the merchant heard this, he called out to his servants, Go send him in and tell him of his fame. Pray call him Mr. Whittington by name. Indeed, Mr. Whittington, said the merchant, we are all quite in earnest with you, and I most heartily rejoice in the news that these gentlemen have brought for you. For the captain has sold your cat to the King of Barbary and brought you in your return for her more riches than I possess in the whole world, and I wish you may long enjoy them. Mr. Fitzwarren then told the men to open the great treasure they had brought with them, and said, Mr. Whittington has nothing to do but to put it in some place of safety. Poor Dick hardly knew how to behave himself for joy. He begged his master to take what part of it he pleased, since he owed it to all his kindness. No, no, answered Mr. Fitzwarren. This is all your own, and I have no doubt but you use it well. Dick next asked his mistress and then Miss Alice to accept a part of his good fortune, but they would not, and at the same time told him that they felt great joy at his good success. But this poor fellow was too kind-hearted to keep it all to himself. So he made a present to the captain, the mate, and the rest of Mr. Fitzwarren's servants, and even to the ill-natured old cook. After this, Mr. Fitzwarren advised him to send for a proper tailor and get himself dressed like a gentleman, and told him he was welcome to live in his house till he could provide himself with a better place to stay. When Whittington's face was washed, his hair curled, his hat cocked, and he was dressed in a nice suit of clothes, he was as handsome and genteel as any young man who visited at Mr. Fitzwarren's. So that Miss Alice, who had once been so kind to him and thought of him with pity, now looked upon him as fit to be her sweetheart, and the more so, no doubt, because Whittington was now always thinking what he could do to oblige her and making her the prettiest presents that could be. Mr. Fitzwarren soon saw their love for each other and proposed to join them in marriage. And to this they both readily agreed. A day for the wedding was soon fixed, and they were attended to church by the Lord Mayor, the Court of Aldermen, the sheriffs, and a great number of the richest merchants in London, whom they afterwards treated with a very rich feast. History tells us Mr. Whittington and his lady lived in great splendour and were very happy. They had several children. He was Sheriff of London, thrice Lord Mayor, and received the honour of knighthood by Henry V. He entertained this king and his queen at dinner, and after his conquest of France so grandly that the king said never had prince such a subject. When Sir Richard heard this, he said, never had subject such a prince. The figure of Sir Richard Whittington, with his cat in his arms, carved in stone, was to be seen until the year 1780 under the archway of the old prison of Newgate, which he built for criminals. And this stone memorial here, this is Whittington Stone, which still stands, and the cat was added afterwards. So the stone was built in 1821. The cat was added in 1935, and it was refurbished in 1964. So I do hope you enjoyed that tale. So what about Dick Whittington? Well, as it happens, Sir Richard Whittington was actually a real man. As far as the story goes, how much of it was actually true? So these are the posts that he held. And we have this picture here. And you'll see that, you know, he's holding a skull. He's holding a skull here. And everybody said, well, what is it? What is the picture of the cat? So can you see? You see how this picture has been changed to show the cat? So the story goes that people didn't want pictures hanging up in their homes of Richard Whittington with a dead skull. So they had the cat engraved in afterwards. How amazing is that? But in the tale as well, it tells us that he and Alice married, and they did marry. The tale tells us that they had children, but they did not have children. He paid for the rebuilding of the church. This is in London, St. Michael Paternoster Royal, and as a final resting place for himself and Alice. and they were buried there. However, it was burned to the ground during the Great Fire of London and was rebuilt by Sir Christopher Wren. But unfortunately, there don't appear to be any remains of the tomb, the tombs of his and his wife. And there's also a plaque here. The house of Richard Whittington, Mayor of London, stood on this site, 1423. So amazing, isn't it? And I love looking into all these and finding out like what real parts, and the story is that he did come. I mean, different versions say that he came from the Midlands. Other versions say that he was a lad from Lancashire. But as I said, these start in the oral tradition, don't they? And they get changed. So, but there he was. He was indeed a real man. Maybe somebody made the tale as a kind of homage to him because of all the good works that he did. He was a very generous man. He was, somewhat of a philanthropist in his time. So I do hope that you enjoyed this evening's story. I know I certainly did. As usual, you can find public domain books or ebooks on Gutenberg.org, audiobooks on LibriVox.org. If you have enjoyed it, please do consider supporting us. You can support us at Coffee or at PayPal, and the links to the QR codes are there. So, does anybody have any questions? I hope you enjoyed it, Amy. Is this your first time with us? Yes. Oh, wow. Well, I'm so pleased that you found us. If you go here, I'll type it in the chat. Because then it'll turn into a link for you. This is our Facebook group, which you can, keep details of everything that's going on. So we've got a presentation on Charles Dickens' life and works. Not at the moment, Sheila. It's something I might consider in the future, because the beauty of it is that we like to have it live, and then you've got the surprise element, and occasionally some things I will share in the group. Like we did a Beatrix Potter presentation, and that was absolutely fantastic. But the story part, we put in, I shared with the group. So there are things that we're looking at different ways that we might make them available to view. But we do love the live sessions. But thank you very much for coming with us and staying tonight. So where will we go?